So welcome everybody to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology for the 4th of November. It's the day, of course, after the US election. Votes are still being counted, and if you were staying up half the night like Kerie, who we'll be introducing in a minute, then hope you're surviving okay. My name is Stuart Lawler, and as always, my colleague Carl Braley is with us. It would not be Webinar Wednesday without Carl, so we very much appreciate Carl being here. We also have Anna Steglin-Tucker, who's joining us today on work placement. Anna is a student in school here in Dublin and will be actually joining us for a number of Webinar Wednesday sessions over the next while. So Anna is observing the session today and will be helping out, I'm sure, with the chat and raised hands over the next couple of weeks. Now, our guest today is Kerie Doyle. We've asked Kerie to join us, I suppose, to help us talk through a number of issues that we want to talk about, not least of which is iOS 14 and the new accessibility features and other features, I suppose, found in that operating system that Kerie is going to chat to us about, and lots of other things too. Now, this is an interactive session. The session today has a couple of areas that we want to look at. One is how we're all staying connected during the second lockdown. If you're in England, of course, the lockdown is just about to start, I think tomorrow. Ireland have been in it for 2 weeks. And the good news, I suppose, from here, certainly to give everybody a bit of good news, is that numbers are falling quite quickly, actually. So I guess we learned that these things do work. If you'd like to get in touch with us today using the Zoom meeting platform, please do. You can raise your hand by pressing Alt and Y on Windows, Option and Y on a Mac, or if you're on a mobile phone, activate the raise hand button. Similarly, you can chat to us if you wish by pressing Alt and H on Windows, Option and H using a Mac, or activating the chat button. And please, if you are chatting to us, make sure you send your message to all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see your message. We look forward to your interaction today. It is an interactive session and we want to open it out as much as we can. And our popular tech surgery is here too. So if you have questions, you're welcome to pop them into the chat or raise your hand. Now, just before I introduce Kerie, I suppose the background to this session is that we have seen increased restrictions due to COVID throughout Europe, indeed throughout the world. And it has impacted us all. And more so now than ever, we need technology to help us stay connected, to keep those social links going, and to make sure that we can keep in touch with family and friends whenever we need to, where face-to-face contact rather is very, very difficult. So I want to welcome Kerie Doyle. Kerie is a technology enthusiast. Could we call you Kerie? Using lots of has used lots of technology for a long time. I've known Kerie for a long time, and what I really like about Kerie is how she really immerses herself in technology and really is so passionate about it, as you'll probably see. So Kerie, just maybe if you don't mind to start us off, tell us a little bit about your journey with maybe iOS, because we're going to talk a bit about iOS with you, but what got you into and how did you start with the iPhone, with this piece of glass that was going to be a
Wow, okay. So I guess how I started with iOS in the first place was actually with a little iPod, actually, an MP3 player that I had. I don't know if anyone will remember, but I had an iAudio years ago when you had to make the little MP3 talk clips yourself when Rockbox was about. And one day I was on a bus and my MP3 player broke and I was so annoyed. I went to HMV and bought this little iPod and then eventually an iPod Touch, and my brother actually activated VoiceOver for me, and that began my kind of journey with iOS. And then I had basically every iPhone known to man, I think, except for the iPhone 5C. And so I guess I found it really intuitive, but I think I'm sort of a bit, I don't know, I'm not really afraid to kind of mess about with stuff. So I kind of just explored things and I just found it really easy to use, and I like how customizable it's become kind of over the years as well. So I think I've used it since whenever the iPhone 3GS came out, which I don't remember. Was it 2008 maybe? Or I think,
yeah,
maybe. So yeah.
So that idea of built-in accessibility, was very new at the time, you know. And did you miss your traditional Nokia phone, or did you just kind of immerse yourself in it and go for it?
Good question. I think I didn't really miss it. I found always texting a challenge until braille screen input came along, and that's kind of really revolutionized how I use my iPhone. I know there are also other options out there for that kind of thing, like flick type and that, but so yeah, I found text in a challenge till braille screen input, but the rest of it, no, I really absolutely I immersed myself in it, and I loved the idea of being able to access things like sighted people would, such as YouTube, and having kind of on-demand access to the web, and then apps like Audible and things like that. So yeah, I really did kind of just jumped in, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, we've had many iterations of iOS over the time that I suppose we've all been using this platform for over 10 years, lots of us using it. And I'm sure there's Android people on the call too, and we're welcome to hear from you guys as well. But iOS 14 released a little while ago, and there's really some interesting new features in it. You flagged a few of them for me earlier. Do you want to just talk about some of the things that you're really liking about it?
Yeah, so I mean, there are new accessibility features, like in FaceTime. If you've got somebody on a call who needs to sign, then FaceTime will make them more prominent. There's another feature called back tap, where you can tap the back of your phone to do certain things, which can include accessibility shortcuts. And I think there could be other things that you can do with that as well. I've not used it myself. There's a people detection feature as well, where it will tell you how far away people are, so that could be useful for some of us maybe who can't see, you know. And then there's also a really nice feature with VoiceOver, where they've expanded the sort of image describing capabilities. So in apps like Facebook and that, where there might be images that we wouldn't always get the full benefit of if we are totally blind VoiceOver users, where there were very often now very detailed descriptions given of images like that. So that's kind of the accessibility features that I like. And then other sort of features that are not accessibility specific would be, I like the way now in music you can have it set to play continuously, very much like what Spotify used to do. So Apple have kind of brought that on stream now, which is interesting. And I also really like the voice memos now. They've introduced this really nice new feature whereby you can do what's called enhance your voice memos, so that basically it will take sort of background noise, background hiss, that kind of thing out of voice recording. So it now sounds like what a Mac would do. If anyone's ever used a Mac and recorded or used Skype or anything like that, you'll know that it's kind of by default, it takes all that stuff out. So the iPhone, iPad, etc. Now you can do the same with your voice recordings there as well.
Okay, and if people, I suppose, haven't upgraded yet, if people are still on iOS 13, it's a good upgrade, isn't it? It is worth.
I would say
it is
so,
worth doing
yeah.
it now. There were some
Definitely,
glitches at the
yes.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's they've figured those out. There was a glitch where if you were in Safari, it would repeat things more than once if you were browsing by certain elements and things, but they've fixed that now. So yeah.
Okay, I want to just talk to you a little bit about, I suppose, staying connected and connecting. You know, I suppose making sure that you keep those social contacts up during COVID-19, because it's a big thing for all of us during lockdown the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So the ones that people talk a lot about are WhatsApp and Zoom. And have you used both those platforms regularly?
Absolutely, yeah. So I do use WhatsApp quite a bit, keep in touch with friends abroad and stuff that way. And Zoom, of course, yes. I mean, there are not very many of us, I guess, who haven't used Zoom, in spite of it being sort of a video conferencing platform and everything. Even though most of us here are visually impaired. I think something that I've kind of found the confidence to do, which has helped me a lot, is to say, actually, I don't want to go on camera. And I've learned to kind of be okay with that and explain that it's because I just don't feel kind of comfortable doing that. And it took me a while actually to do that, because, and I know I've had some blind friends actually tell me I shouldn't be doing that I live in a sighted world, and I shouldn't, how very dare I not turn on my video camera on a video conferencing piece of software. But yeah, so since I've got the confidence to just join meetings, with audio, I found that my kind of my appetite for Zoom has kind of grown. So yeah.
I think the thing about the camera is, and I've talked to lots of people about this who are maybe, they're on a call and they're at home, and maybe they're trying to work from home, and this is not just to do with being blind or visually impaired. Just people maybe are not comfortable with having their camera on, showing around their home environment. So it's been an interesting topic for discussion in the last little while. Do you use your video? When should or should you not use it? So definitely, I think that's a really, really good point. So if anyone wants to get in touch, if you want to ask questions again, you can raise your hand with Alt and Y on Windows, Option and Y on the Mac, or press the raise hand button on your mobile app, or you can type in the chat window Alt and H on Windows. On the Mac, it's Option and H, or you can press the chat button on your mobile app of choice. Now, I did get an email from a lady called Christine Ward, who I think is on the call, and she wanted to tell us about some services that she is involved in that are helping people to connect during the lockdown, which may be of interest to people who are tuned in. So I don't know if we can unmute Christine, Carl, so she can maybe tell us about these, because she wants to come in before 3 o'clock, apparently. So
Christine, what was the surname, sorry?
Christine Ward.
Okay, there we go.
So Christine, we'll unmute you, and then if you just unmute yourself, you'll be able to speak. If you want to tell us about your...
You've got two things signed in, Christine, so I'm a little bit... I'll do both of them.
Two Christines, wow.
Well, there's Debbie's two Christines.
It's Christine Ward here.
Hi,
I'm
Christine.
Here.
Yeah.
Hello.
There's a little bit of an echo, Christine, if you're maybe if you're with headphones.
Hang on, let's just turn. Okay.
There's a bit of an echo with whatever you're using.
When Stuart says
here we are. Can you hear me?
That's better.
Yeah, we got you better.
Yeah.
So,
hang on.
So you're running some events, is that right? That for people to get involved in?
Just one moment. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yes. So can you tell us about what you're
a bit faint at this end, so if I'm shouting, do excuse me.
Okay.
Okay, I run a service called aid2aid.co.uk, and basically I set it up in 2016. It's a self-help service because I've found as a vision impaired person, a lot of the sight loss charities where I live in East Sussex, how can I be diplomatic, weren't being run on the sort of level I like to be spoken to and treated. It's mostly for very mature people with a different outlook to me. So I set up my service. It's for anyone who has a disability, non-ability, needs motivation, needs help. I work with clients and we work together to sort out the problem in their lives or what they want to achieve. Sometimes it's a one-off session. Sometimes it can, last as long as for the client needs. And if I can't help them, I point them in the right direction to get the right help and support that they feel they need. And it's very important during COVID. A lot more people doing remote work. I certainly am. Just sometimes just to check in and see how people are. I mean, it is a paid for service. I can't do it for free, unfortunately. But there is information on my website about direct payments, and direct payments are a fantastic thing through social services. If people have got less than £25,000 in savings and they need additional help and support, you go to your local social services and you apply for a direct payment. If you get trouble, then I can help you because I've actually been in receipt of this payment myself, so I know how to go about it. And it's for anything. If people want to go to the gym, or they can employ a support worker, there's a whole list of functions that you can apply for. And a lot of people are not aware that this direct payment exists. So it's out there, and it could help you a lot with your life. And so can I.
Okay, Christine, thank you. And just so just for people, if they want to get in touch with you, they go to your website. Is that right?
Yes, it's www.a-a2a.co.uk.
Okay, www.a2a.co.uk.
And you've got my email address as well. You can use the ability access one as well.
Okay, thank you, Christine. I really appreciate you giving us that information. It's great to know that there are people out there who are providing really innovative.
And as I said, it's not only me, there's lots of help out there. You know, the internet is a good thing for this sort of thing. So everybody keep positive. Great
way to end that. Thank you, Christine. Keep positive and stay safe and stay well. Thanks for chatting to us today. Okay. Carl, do we have any hands raised?
We do. We have the young man, Derry Lawlor, to start with.
Young Derry, Webinar Wednesday regular. Good to have Derry.
Hello, it's Derry Lawlor here.
Derry.
Hey, Stuart, and thanks again for another great Webinar Wednesday. It's a mess. It's something I want to ask Kerie about the iOS 14. I got the iPhone 12 Pro last Saturday. I love it, I must say.
Nice.
We're very jealous, Derry.
I am jealous now.
No, the only one I never got was the iPhone 8. I got all of them from 3GS up to 12 Pro. And I'd love to be able to use the third-party apps a bit more, like Edge and Outlook, but Edge seems to work okay for me. Every time I restart the phone, I'm back to default to the Safari. But have you used the Outlook as a third-party app for your email?
Have I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I do actually, and I find it quite good. It works grand, and when I set mine up in, I think it was February or that. And you know, the way now with I didn't actually mention this, but you kind of bring it up when you set up an account on the web these days with iOS. What it'll do is it'll suggest a password and stuff, and you can tell it to save it in your keychain and everything, so you don't have to do that again. And I find Outlook, I find it really accessible, actually. I mean, it depends. I guess it depends what your what was your question as such?
Well, I have 3 email addresses.
Right.
One for Apple and one for everyday use.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just finding it a bit difficult moving from different options, different Outlook. I suppose maybe I need to focus on the right Outlook, but it works okay.
Yeah, there is 2. So there's 2. Like when you do go use the Outlook app, there's a focused inbox, which I think is like more if somebody sends you an email sort of thing. And then sometimes in my other inbox, which is like a second inbox that's there, you'll get stuff like if you sign up for, I don't know, newsletters and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so you do have to make sure you're in the right inbox, and it maybe initially it takes a little bit of kind of getting used to, but I do find it accessible. I do find that it works okay. And I mean, I use the Outlook app for my from my outlook.ie address, and then I use the mail app for my iCloud email addresses.
That sounds good. I might just move to do that.
So I think you can add the others in as well, but I don't know. Yeah, I've always kind of just associated. I don't know why. I've always like associated the sort of the native like mail app with my iCloud email addresses, and then when I found out there was an Outlook app, I thought, oh well, that's interesting. I'll give that a shot. I needed a more sort of straightforward email address to give to people sometimes. So then I set that up, and that's how I started to use the Outlook app for myself. Yeah.
And it's, I must say, the MagSafe charge is great. Just clips onto the back of it.
Don't talk to me about that. I'm jealous.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have that phone.
The boxes are
I
that small.
want
The
it.
iPhone 12 boxes are a lot smaller, I must say. So
Yeah.
without the charger, but I got the case and the MagSafe. They're all delivering 3 different days. So
Very
they use
good.
3 different vans to deliver out to me. So I'm not sure I have the carbon footprint. Listen, thanks again, Stuart. And
No,
thanks,
All right,
no
Derry.
worries.
Great to
Yeah.
talk to you. Thanks a million.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Take care. All right.
Right, I'm just going to quickly run on while we're doing this run. Hang on 2 seconds. Norman, Mr. Octon.
Norman, regular webinar Wednesday attendee. Hi, Norman. Hello, Norman.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can indeed. How are you?
Oh, jolly good. I'm fine, thanks. Yeah.
Good to hear you. Good to hear you.
I don't know whether I should be bringing this question up here, but just shout me down if I'm wrong, because I came a bit late to the beginning of this webinar this afternoon. I have an Android phone, which I want to try and get used to, because I want to be able to use both platforms. What would be a good navigation app in Android? I know about half a dozen in iOS, but I don't know one in Android that blind people might recommend.
Well, I know when we had Steve Nutt on this call, on this session, God, a good while ago now, maybe during the summer.
Yeah.
And Steve is a real Android guru. He's brilliant. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he mentioned Lazarillo.
Oh, okay.
So that might be one to try. I personally do not know the answer to that. And
no, okay.
Kerie, I know you've sort of dabbled in Android a bit more than I did in the past, but don't know if you have anything to.
Yeah, something I would say to Norman, just because I always feel really bad because I guess just because I think we should be as people who are blind or vision impaired, I think we should be open to kind of both. And actually, just really recently, I was actually really strongly considering switching because of the fact that obviously now with the way COVID is, and we're all supposed to wear our masks and stuff out and about, so the old Apple Pay is not what it once was, shall we say, not as convenient as it once was, so I was considering kind of getting a Samsung phone or something and switching, but I'm not now. But what I would say, Norman, is have a look at the there's some really good podcasts. It was called the Anatad podcast, ANATAD. Maybe Carol might write that in the chat.
ANATAD. Okay.
Yeah, have a look at that. And I think they've renamed themselves something else now, and it escapes me. I'm really sorry, but if you put that in, it'll come up anyway.
Okay.
And they have as well, just because I know, and to give you kind of a comprehensive answer to your question, if you have an app called Telegram on your iOS device, which you can get, it's really easy to get. It's just a chat app, and there's some Android groups on there as well, and those guys are just fantastic. What those guys don't know is kind of not worth knowing, and so yeah, it might be something just for you to have a look. And the podcasts are really good as well. So
what's the app called? Sorry, what did you say it was?
The app is called Telegram.
Oh, Telegram.
Yeah, if you just search that, and then you can find the groups that as well, the Android sort of accessibility groups.
Okay.
And it's called Anatad Chat as well, because I was just in it recently myself there. So yeah, it's there and it's a resource, and those guys are really good.
And just to say, Norman, that we're looking at Android accessibility in Sight and Sound as well as a sort of a project, because we want to understand how it all works and how it can work for people. So
yes,
if you have any comments or any thoughts, keep in touch with us about that as well.
Yeah, will do. Okay,
brilliant.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks a mil.
Thank you, Norman. We're just going to go. There's one last thing, and then I'll just go through the chat box quickly. Amy Stannard.
Amy, so you might just need to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Amy. Hi. How are you?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I had a question, but first, the other guy that was on about the being able to have different email addresses. I use the just the normal mail app, and I have Yahoo and Gmail, and I find it really easy to switch from one to the other. But my question is, I've just updated to 14.1, I think it is, and I use the cloud keychain passwords, and I'm having real problems with it. It's no longer suggesting their passwords like it used to. And even though passwords are in my keychain list, I'm still having to type them all in.
That certainly shouldn't happen, because I
Which
use
is really bizarre.
Yeah, I use
Yeah.
Keychain all the time, and in fact I couldn't live without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That definitely shouldn't happen.
No, so normally what happens for me, Amy, is when I tap on a password field, it will say log into, for example, amazon.co.uk, and then there's a little thing beside it that says use, and then say your email address, and then normally you just it does it by the Face ID.
It does it for a couple of them. So Audible works.
Right.
I've got 1 or 2 others that work, but then a lot of them now, even though I can the key, the password is in there and I can see it because I can view the keychain list.
Yeah.
I'm still having to type for most of them. I'm still having to type it in.
So that could be a setting that's just maybe your keychain's been turned off by mistake in your, the password and security thing in settings, and maybe there's
I went into settings the other day and turned it. What I thought I turned it back on, and it's still acting weird.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it worth toggling it off and on, like just for it to resync?
Yeah, because definitely that. Yeah, I know what you mean, and it's a nuisance when you can't remember a password and it's in the keychain, and I think as well for me.
Well, I'm having to use it as like a list. At the moment, I'm having to use it as like a list where it doesn't work and go in and read them, but I won't use the create strong password because it's just too hard to pick up at the moment.
I think as well, the more of those create strong password things that you use, I think the more reliable keychain is for some reason, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it knows it's encrypted and sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think just kind of maybe, as you say, it's not very anyone can tell you to go and turn something off and on again, but but I would do that and see how it goes anyway.
Sometimes that works, definitely. Yeah. Amy, thanks for your question. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Okie doke. And if you want to raise your hand, you can do so with Alt and Y or Option and Y on the Mac. I don't know if we've anyone else, Carl, at the moment.
Muted, which doesn't really help. When you're trying to talk, Mitra's just put a hand up, but I'm just going to quickly do a couple out of the chat box.
Okay.
There's a few people having a conversation with each other, so it's difficult for me to want to read that out. Trevor Lyons, Mr. Linux. He's had to leave us, but he said, "Great to hear Kerie again. Would it be worth discussing safety when online, specifically in relation to meeting new people?"
Yep. And it's actually a really good point about meeting new people and about securing meetings. And it might be actually content for a session to talk a little bit about. I think when you're setting up a meeting, whether it's a business meeting or pleasure or just you're chatting with a few friends, if you're hosting a meeting, you do have a responsibility to make sure it's safe. So people would have heard the term Zoom bombing back in the day. It feels like forever. It was only 6 months ago when Zoom was being crashed by let's say people who wanted to try to create an obstruction, and they have done a lot to tighten that up, as has Teams. And I'm sure with WhatsApp you can create groups that are, and WhatsApp has secure end-to-end. It's definitely a good comment.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm going to go back to the hands then. Mitra. You need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Hi Mitra, how are you?
Hello.
Thank you. Okay, yes, the first question is regarding this security kitchen sort of password. I don't know how that works. I mean, is this quite complicated thing to do?
Okay.
Can you tell me more about it?
So this is the keychain, yeah. So essentially the keychain holds your passwords. The idea of it, I suppose, Mitra, is that you should never need to know the passwords for any of the sites that you visit, because obviously security guidelines would suggest, the best practice would be do not use the same password on, on 3 or 4 different websites. Although we've all, I'm sure I've done it, I know for years, but I've stopped now. So Keychain allows you to create passwords for every website or every service that you log into, and your phone saves these in the cloud in keychain in an encrypted way, and it automatically signs you back into those websites when you need to go back in. So the idea is you never know. I mean, I couldn't tell you what my email password is. I couldn't tell you what my whatever my Apple password, but I never need to know them, as long as of course as I don't lose my phone.
Yes.
But Kerie, I don't know, did you want to add anything to that? Or
No, that, I mean, and the good, also I think the good thing about keychain as well is that, say for example, like, if it happened, unfortunately, that you lost your phone, or even, if somebody else just picked it up, nobody's going to be able to get into the websites that you go into, because it needs your Face ID or your fingerprint. So it's very secure, just to say that.
So it would require the Touch ID, for instance, in my case, because I've got yes, I see.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of through the phone. It's nothing to do with the Google.
No, it's got nothing to do. And they don't. I think as well. The passwords are not, as far as I know, like Apple doesn't know the passwords or anything as well. So yeah,
if you lose your phone, then.
Well, if you lose your phone, I suppose the only thing is the password is stored in the cloud.
Right.
The passwords are stored securely. So if you got a new phone, you would log in with the same Apple ID and you would get it back. Now, of course, the question is then, what if you don't know your Apple password, because that's stored in the cloud? Then you would have to reset it. And in fact, I would have that problem because I don't know my Apple password, because it's on.
That's why I think it's really, just to say about the Apple thing in particular, it's really important that you have your trusted phone numbers up to date. Yes. And your other sort of, like, if you use if there's two-factor authentication there, it's really kind of important to keep those things kind of up to date, because it gets awkward then, Yeah.
But great question.
Good question.
Very much, Mitra.
Just going to the next one. Felix. You just need to unmute yourself, Felix.
Okay, can I be heard?
Hi,
yes.
we can hear you.
Hello.
How are you?
No, sorry. Firstly, apologies. I've got the washing machine on, so
That's okay.
I had two questions actually. Firstly, on the keychain thing. Obviously, I try to remember all my password where possible, but in the process that I needed to, because I've done it before, where I've had to wipe the phone and reinstall. Is there a way of accessing those passwords in a way that you can just go and look at them if you've forgotten one or you need to get one changed? Is the first question.
So you can view your keychain. You can say to Siri, the way I do it is I say to Siri, show my passwords or view my passwords. And it uses my Face ID to unlock as a security. And then it brings me into the keychain and I can see all the services that I have passwords for, and I can tap on any of them and I can view that password. So I would do that a lot if I'm logging into that website from another browser, say for example on Windows, because password wouldn't be, because there's no way of accessing keychain on Windows, to my knowledge anyway.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So I would use that quite a lot. So you can view them all in a list and you can see each password.
Okay, cool. And I'll try and keep this brief. So my second question is probably a bit more difficult. I'm a student currently studying an IT course, and part of my course I'm required to learn coding. I'm just wondering, is there anything I can use when dealing with Python? Because someone recommended that I download idle and install it, but run it through the command line. But my issue is that I write my scripts in Notepad, for example. I then run the script in the command line, and it always seems to fail, even though my text is correct, even from the books.
I'm unfortunately not able to answer that because I'm not a coder. Let's put it out there, because there may well be people on this session who might like to jump in here to give you some help. I'm not a coder, unfortunately, and I don't think Kerie is.
No, No.
Sorry about that.
My apologies. No.
No problem, no problem.
Unless Carl wants to have a stab at it.
I wish I was, though.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, thank you anyway for your question.
Okay, how do I mute now? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm going to apologise in advance for my pronunciation. I think I'll just go with your first name, Devaki.
Devaki, I think we've had Devaki before as well.
And if you could tell me how to
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. How are you? You've been on before, haven't you?
Sorry, let me switch off my voiceover. Yeah, actually, in the Zoom, when I have my, I prefer having the recording of meeting, and I'm able to download, whenever the meeting finishes. I have a premium account. Sorry, I didn't say properly. So when I try to download it, it does say it, but I don't know how to save it on the Apple phone, or do I have to do it only on the computer?
So, sorry, I didn't what are you trying to download? Sorry.
Yeah, see, I organize meetings. For example, I organized a meeting yesterday, and when the meeting finishes, Zoom automatically sends a link for me to download it.
For the recording.
For the recording. Yeah. I do download it, but I really have not learned how to save it, or, some people do it on the WhatsApp and send it across as WhatsApp as well. So I want to learn that. I don't know how to do it.
So usually what happens is when you finish a Zoom meeting that has been recorded, exactly as you say, you'll get a link. You'll get an email with a link. There are two links. Yeah. One is for the administrator or the person who organized the meeting. In that case, that's you. The other is a link that you can share with the people who attended.
Yeah.
So they operate in they have their own little built-in player on the web. So the idea is you can view them without ever downloading them. But you can download them. I've only ever done it on Windows.
Okay.
So for example, these sessions here, the webinars, we use these then on our podcast and we put them onto YouTube, and I download the video files and upload those to YouTube. So that all happens through Windows, but there is a built-in player in Zoom so that someone can view the meeting on the Zoom website if they wish either.
Can I just come
Please,
in?
Kerie,
Just because I have gotten various different things over the last little while through audio recordings, right? And I only have an iPad and an iPhone. I say only, I don't mean it like that. What I mean is I use touchscreen Apple devices, okay?
Yeah.
So what will happen is there will be like a download. I've never done what you're asking, but I'm familiar with the process of downloading things, and now in Safari there's a downloads thing as well, so you can look at those, right? So there will be a download link or button or something. It'll go into your downloads on Safari. You can go into the actual download, and then what you can do is you can save it to your actual files on your iDevice, which is what I would do. And then you can kind of share that file then from there, from the Files app. Then you could send it, say, as a voice. Well, I don't know how big the files are, but do you understand what I mean? In theory, you could then send from your Files application. You can send any file really, and share it in basically any way that is possible, really.
Yeah, and if you share that over WhatsApp, it would be a voice message then, wouldn't it?
I think so, yeah. But I'm just saying, if it's a Zoom meeting and if it's video and audio and stuff, I don't know how exactly that would work, just because I'm unfamiliar with it. But it's same concept, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Does that help you, Devaki? Oh, I think we've lost Devaki.
Muted herself again. I'm going to take that away. Graham Page is next up. Just need to unmute yourself, Graham. There we go.
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Hi, Graham. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, it's a couple of points. I'm a little bit behind and I disconnected for a while, but one of the things that I've been playing with recently, which has been quite interesting, is an Android phone, a Nokia 5.3, which costs, well, its full price is £150, but it can be found cheaper for example, on Amazon Prime Day, you could get it for somewhere under 130. But I found it to be surprisingly usable for things like using Zoom and using Easy Reader and BBC iPlayer, etc. And it's a bit of a big phone. I mean, I think it's a 6.2-inch screen. It's nearly a phablet, really. And the speaker, while it's adequate for listening to the sound of, the sound of talkback, it's nothing better. The speaker isn't going to win any awards, but of course you can use headphones and whatever. And I found it quite interesting playing with it, just because it's a real lower budget option for connecting to Zoom if you can't perhaps afford an iPhone or something similar.
Yeah, and I've heard one of the things I've heard about Nokia, and I think Steve Nutt mentioned this as well when we had Steve on the show, is that the Nokia handsets run stock Android, so you get the pure flavor of Android, cheap price.
And it's also what's called Android One compliant, so it'll work for the next sort of couple of years.
Yeah.
Another quick point about Python worth checking up as well was that is the Python language not reliant on a structure of indents? So lines have to be indented by a certain amount, which I've read that as being a problem, but I have no idea what the solution was. So that might be the issue.
Okay, so that might be worth checking out for our Python question earlier on. Yeah.
That's it, really.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that your feedback.
Okay.
I'm just going to really go quickly to an email, Carl, that we received with a question from Shafit, and he says, "Hello, Stuart. Some questions I'd like to ask in case I can't attend." His first question is, how do I set a voice profile for a specific application? For example, one for Microsoft Edge and one for Microsoft Word. So when you're in the program or the application that you want to set the voice profile for, Shafiq, you press Control Insert or Control Jaws key and the letter S for sugar, and you'll be brought into the voice profiles page. And if you tab once, you can set the profile for the particular application. So for example, if you're in Edge, it'll say for Edge, and then you set the profile from the list of profiles that are presented to you, or you can create your own in the voice settings dialog, and then you press enter or press OK, and then every time you switch to that application, that voice profile will kick in, and you can have different synthesizers for different applications if you want to do that. Second question is about looking to start our programming language, and he's wondering, is RStudio accessible to JAWS, or is there a known accessible alternative language to our programming studio? I'm afraid I cannot answer that question. There may be people on this session today who can, so we'll throw it out there. If anyone has any comments on R or RStudio programming language and what is accessible or not to JAWS, please let us know. If we don't get any answers, Shafiq, I'll send it on to Vispero and see can they help us out. Okay, any more hands?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Stephen Portlock.
You're getting all the questions today, Kerie. Hi, Stephen.
Stephen, you just need to unmute yourself.
So,
no.
Stephen, no?
I think Devaki's back. Devaki, it's all yours.
Oh.
Hi, Devaki.
Oh, it's going well.
No?
Gremlins.
There, yeah.
Problem with live TV, you see.
This is live, absolutely.
All your fault, Kerie.
Yeah, it's all my fault. Yeah,
it's all your fault, Kerie.
I bewitched it. Yes.
No, Stephen, are you there? Come in, Stephen.
Stephen, you might need to unmute yourself. Press the button for unmute. You should get a little pop-up to say that you would the host would like you to unmute yourself.
Oh God,
Stephen.
There we go. Hello.
How are you?
Sorry, that was actually a mistake. I didn't mean to raise my hand. I tried to undo it. It's Alt-Y to unlower my hand. I think I did it by mistake. I'm really sorry.
Don't worry, there's no problem. It's nice to hear you.
Alt-Y, isn't it? I tried frantically to do Alt-Y to lower my hand and still you acknowledge it.
Don't worry, no problem at all. Good to hear you anyway. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you. Let me lower that. Amy's hand is up, but I don't know whether I put it down. So, Amy, did you have anything else to say?
Amy, if you have any other questions. Hello, how are you?
Hello again. I need to update my JAWS. So I've got 18. I need to go up to 20. And somebody told me you were doing a lower price a while ago, a lower price version to pay to just do the upgrade rather than paying for the whole thing again.
That was quite a while ago, Amy. So that ended in July. They were specials that were in place around the start of COVID.
So is it still, if I do it through you, is it still like the 200 that it normally is?
You'll need to do it quickly because you might. Is this just for your SMA?
I just need to update from 18 to 20 to whatever the newest one is.
2021 hasn't been released, so you might as well. It's not going to cost you any more, so you may as well wait until the American.
Oh right, is it not come up yet?
They won't release it. They're just hanging back. Obviously, they've got something a little bit important that's going on over there at the minute. Well, they think it's important, not so much for us. But yeah, and with all the COVID stuff as well, they've just put it on hold for the minute. It won't be long, but
right. And how much is it? How much is the SMA version to the straight one upgrade one version?
That's a very good point, and I'm not in sales at all, am I? Well, you have to buy the upgrade and then the SMA on top anyway. So I think it's about, if you buy it with the upgrade, I think it's about 150 quid. But you have to buy it at the same point or be on the latest version. So you
say that again, sorry.
You have to upgrade first to the latest version, then you can purchase the SMA, which will give you the next two versions upon release.
So, Amy, you can't purchase an SMA with your current version of JAWS, which is 18. You would have to upgrade first to the current version and then buy the SMA.
So, how much would that be altogether? Do you know?
I don't speak sterling, so I'm going to pass that one to Carl.
Yeah, whatever. Drop it out then. Yeah, bottled it. Hang on 2 seconds. I will tell you.
Okay, just while we're doing that, just a reminder about you can raise your hands with Alt and Y, Option and Y, or the raise hand option, or you can chat if you want with Alt and H or Option and H if you're on a Mac, or using the chat button on the computer. And just to flag, in 2 weeks' time on the webinar, we're going to have a Braille special, but we're going to be looking at some futuristic Braille, what's happening in the world of Braille in the area of research. So if you're interested in Braille, that might be a particularly interesting one for you to join in 2 weeks' time on the 18th of November.
I've got some not so good news for you, Amy. The upgrade cost is 375 quid.
And that's the SMA one?
No, that's just the upgrade. The SMA will be added on top. But if you do want to go ahead with it, give us a call and just say Carl said I can have 10% discount.
That's not a bad day's work, is it, Amy?
Thanks for that.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And by the way, if there are any questions, if somebody has something that hasn't been answered by the end of the session today, if you send an email into sales@sightandsound.co.uk, mark it for the attention of Carl or Stuart, it'll be passed on to us and we'll be able to follow up with it.
Right. Okay. I'm just changing that name on that one just for a second because there were too many Pauls. And we've got Paul O'Reilly.
Paul O'Reilly from Kilkenny.
All yours, Paul.
Question earlier about.
Hiya, Paul. How are you?
Hi, Stuart. Not so bad. Good question earlier about Python. There's an online forum I used when I was studying programming a few years ago called program-l@freelists.org. And I think that's a good forum for that student to engage with and to ask that particular question. He'll get no end of responses.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
PROGRAM dash as in the -L for Lima @freelists.org.
Okay, program-l@freelist.org. I think it was Felix who asked that question. So thanks very much, Paul. That's brilliant.
No problem. Oh, I tried to put that up on chat, but I don't know if it appeared.
I'm not actually watching the chat at the moment. It may have gone up.
I think it did go up, Paul. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I didn't need to press any other. Okay, thank you.
No,
Thanks
fine.
for that, Paul. Appreciate it,
guys. Thanks.
Okay, great to talk to you.
Right, we have Mark Chamley. All yours, Mark.
Hiya, Mark.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
We can indeed. How are you?
Very well indeed, thanks. Thank you very much. I have an iPhone, and for reading documents, I tend to use Seeing AI. And I wondered if there's any other apps that you can read, text to speech for paper documents that you might know or recommend.
Kerie, are you using anything other than Seeing AI?
Oh, what is the name of that app? Oh God. Live TVC. What is it called?
Because I was thinking of things like KNFB, but obviously
KNFB Reader. Yes, Felix, thank you. KNFB Reader, thank you very much. That's the one. Yes, and I think that's I've seen that being used before. I have never used it myself, but I've seen it be used. And now the only thing about KNFB, so like Seeing AI, obviously, as we all know, I really like Seeing AI, Seeing AI, I should say, just as an aside, but it's obviously free. But KNFB is paid, or sorry, yeah, it's a paid app. Do you know what? I just need to give me 1 second. Yeah, I have to close the lid of my iPad because my voiceover is distracting me with all the messages coming in. Somebody mentioned VoiceStream as well. VoiceStream might be a cheaper option, somebody said in the chat. So yeah, KNFB is the one that I knew. And then obviously I think there are other apps out there. I mean, what I would probably do, rather than sort of like us recommending apps is all well and good, but I would just put something like scanner app in and see kind of what comes up, or search AppleViz. Actually, AppleViz is fantastic. They've got app directories up there and stuff, so appleviz.com.
Yeah, brilliant.
I've just put on there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Just another bit for you, Mark. We've just started dealing with a company called Envision. And not only do they have a lovely pair of glasses that we'll be no doubt doing a webinar on soon, the app that they actually get you to download is very similar to Seeing AI, but it kind of is a lot more advanced. It is a paid subscription, but it even has like a phone a friend option on there as well. So you can take a picture of something or even be live, kind of FaceTiming them in a way and get people to actually tell you what it is. So it's a different piece of thing. It also reads scenery as well. So you can be sat there in a room and do this, but you can find the face features and everything. So there is a lot out there, and it's a clever little bit. And you'll have to watch this space because we will be coming to it soon, hopefully. Yeah, and as Carl says, definitely a webinar on that, hopefully very soon. So do watch this space. We will be talking about. I've been playing with my glasses today, so I'm having a little. Oh, were you? Oh, very good. Yeah. I don't have them yet, so. No, I think you've got a 2-day delivery, haven't you? So I do. I'll have them tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Right, we've got Devaki back again. Okay, Devaki.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Devaki. How are
you?
Hi. You hear me? Yeah.
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 Hello. Okay. My question is, see, after the Windows 10, my old computer was giving trouble, so I bought a new one. But what happens, this one, I bought it somewhere in June. And it happened to me a couple of weeks ago. It seems there was a very large update. And so the computer never even started. Before, what will happen is with Windows 7, it will say that it's updating. Then I can just leave it. At least if there is some brightness or if there is a voice. But this one is very silent. I have no idea what's happening. And it has happened to me today. I think since last night I worked on it. And since this morning, it's almost dead. And then somebody my friend Andrew, for him also it's the same thing. So somebody came and looked at his computer and he's a bit sighted. So he told that it's a large update going on. So that's why for him it's misbehaving, like it's failing to recognize the password and keep saying it's wrong and stuff like that. Whereas for me, mine is completely dead. So I haven't got a clue. Is there any keys we can use, or how to find out that it's updating, or why is it not starting? I need to know the reason, then I will at least let it there for some time.
So my first thought is I would always try, if nothing's happening and you can't get anything from your screen reader, I would try running narrator, the Windows narrator screen reader.
Oh, okay.
Control Windows and enter is the toggle keystroke to turn it on and off. And the great thing is that it can be pretty much turned on anytime. So if there's an update installing, sometimes maybe your screen reader, whether it's JAWS or something else, may not have loaded or may not be in a position where it can speak.
Yeah, that's what it, yeah.
So narrator is a good, really good, actually, fallback to turn it on, check what's happening, turn it off again, or leave it on if you want until it's finished.
And I need to download it, or I don't have to?
No,
just
it's
do
built in
Control
automatically. It's built into Windows.
So Control Microsoft key, and then what is the next one?
So it's Control Windows and Enter. So hold down Control.
Enter.
Windows
Okay.
Enter.
Yeah. All right then. Thank you.
All right, Devaki, you're welcome.
I've just put in the chat box the prices for the subscriptions for Envision, which is not actually that bad. It comes in cheaper than K and FB, but obviously, like I said, has one heck of a lot more incorporated into it than what K and FB does. So it's $84.99 for a lifetime license, which
it's very good. Yeah,
sterling wise, £20 a year or $179 a month. So I think it's you get a 14-day free trial with it as well, guys. So it's worth giving it a go just to try it. And it is, as David Quamby says, it's available on both platforms as well. And that's got full handwriting recognition built into it. So not only is it just for printed text, it's full facial recognition as well. So you've got a full handwriting and facial recognition. It's got everything. Very, very clever.
Okay, you can't go wrong with that, especially if there's a 14-day free trial. And as I say, we will be talking about this on a webinar very shortly. So watch this space for more news on Envision. Okay, any further hands raised?
One more, we've got Felix back again. Felix, it's all yours.
There we are. Yeah, just two quick questions, really. The first of which being, when I attended last of these sessions, we had Eric Damry on, and someone mentioned about issues with JAWS losing focus. Do we have any more information on that? As I'm finding that even with the latest updates, my JAWS is getting worse. So I can be just on a site, or not even just internet just now. I'll be on a site or something, and it will just lose focus, and I have to Alt-Tab and Alt back in. Do we have any fixes for that, or any news on that?
And are you on? Are you running the public beta, or are you still on 2020?
I'm still on 2020.
So the query that came up, I suppose, in relation to the focus, the JAWS losing focus, I think Eric was asking people to get in touch with him directly to give a bit, because I think there were some more specifics he was looking for around applications. And I know somebody on that call the last time had it in very much in Microsoft Outlook. Somebody else was having it when trying to read PDFs. It's not something I certainly have experienced it, but not to the extent that some people were on the previous on the session that you're talking about. So Felix, if there's kind of two options. If you want, you can email me, and I will sort of send it along for you to Eric, because he is keen to hear what the problems people are having. But I would also encourage you, if you had a bit of time, to try the public beta, the 2021 beta.
Okay.
Just to see, because if those focus issues are still present in that, then that is a big issue, and they will need to know about that, considering we're not too far, as Carol says, from the release of that. It was postponed, but I think it's going to happen pretty soon. So if you can try the 2021, I think that would be a great thing.
Great. And just one final one for now. I'm just looking for, I've had issues with FS Reader because I use it for my course. Obviously, I have contacted site. From David Cornby to everyone, current focus issue is problematic. I have, sorry, my screen just went off. I have contacted Freedom Scientific or Vispero directly regarding this issue, and I was told that FS Reader is no longer going to be maintained unless something drastic happens with it. So I was looking for any other alternatives, if any, that I could use.
So for as a DAISY on any alternative DAISY readers?
Yes.
I mean, the other one that some people are using is Easy Reader.
Okay.
From Dolphin. The PC app I think is about £50. It's obviously free on the mobile platform. I haven't used it personally, but I know some schools are using it. Might be worth exploring it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks a million, Felix.
Thank you. That's it for the moment.
That's it. Okay. Kerie, I suppose I was just going to ask you in terms of maybe some of the things or other things you might recommend that people use. I know you're an Alexa person, Amazon Echo, whatever person.
Yeah.
And lots of things you can do with the Echo. How do you find that maybe most useful?
Yeah, I mean, so the most I use my Echo because I have Audible, so that's one area where I just find it incredibly useful to be able to say, you know, Alexa, read my audiobook or read whatever title of a book kind of thing, and it will do that. So I don't need my phone for that. I can just keep my phone sort of free for other things. And also I find Echo really useful for things like, I like to have nature sounds and stuff sometimes, just playing in the background kind of thing while I do things. So I find that really useful. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, isn't there? There's timers, there's alarms, there's all kinds of things. Radio as well, actually. I've kind of started to listen to radio a lot, so it's really useful for that as well. There's a lot of skills on there. So yeah, I think it's kind of, I think it just depends how much you're kind of not nervous to kind of explore things, which I'm, you know, not, as I've already kind of said, you know.
And of course, calling someone on the Alexa is possible as well, and doing things like
Skype,
isn't it?
Yeah, so if you've got people in your contacts in the Alexa app, then you can do that. And actually, one thing I will mention, just because I find it really useful, if you lose your phone or you know, other device that has Alexa on it, you can say call my phone, and she'll call the Alexa app on your actual device, and you can then obviously hear where the device is. So that's really really useful.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the Alexa as a device, how it has really developed so quickly. And I remember I got one at the end of 2016. I got it from the States because somebody brought one back for me. And at the time, you couldn't even set the time to, like, you had to operate in Eastern time. So you had to operate in whatever time it was in, I think it was Seattle time zone. So if you wanted to set an alarm, you had to work back, you know, 6 hours or something time difference. So as a device, it really has come on so much in the last couple of years, and there are so many skills available as well. So worth checking out the Alexa and the Google Home, and all. And I suppose that links as well so much to smart technology. And Carl has done loads of things with Nest doorbells and all these other exciting things, and smoke alarms and great things like that. So there's lots of accessible technology out there if people want to use it. Okay, and the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro is now available, and the 12 Pro Max and the 12 Mini is going to come very soon, Kerie, I think, isn't that right?
On Friday, I think they're out for pre-order, the 12 Mini and the 12 what you said.
Max. Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I'm not tempted at all. No, don't want one of those. No.
And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's the 12 Pro Max that's going to have this feature of people detection with this LiDAR technology that they're talking about for navigation. So we'll have to see how that works, and be very interesting to get people's feedback on how they find that in terms of being able to use it. Okay, unless there are no further questions, I think I'm going to wrap this session up. I want to say thank you very much to Kerie for giving us your time, giving us your expertise, helping to answer a lot of the questions, and sharing with us the passion you have for technology.
Oh, no problem at all. Thanks for having me.
For talking to us. Thanks, of course, to Carl, as always, for his assistance. And we will be back in 2 weeks' time on the 18th of November with a session on Braille. There'll be more information published on that session nearer to the time. So keep an eye on your email or follow Sight and Sound on social media. We'll have information on our channels nearer the time. Until then, stay safe and stay well, everybody. And thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Stuart. Thanks, Kerie.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, everybody.